Hello, and welcome to our webinar showcasing social emotional learning. I'm Julia Smith, Senior Editor, Books for Youth at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Links to today's slides and title lists were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download these materials at any time by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Allison McLaughlin, Marketing Manager at Owlkids, Nicole Duguay, Digital Marketer and Sales Coordinator at Lorimer Children Teens, Stacey Ashton, Publisher at Fabled Films Press, and Lizette Serrano, Vice President of Educational Marketing at Scholastic. First, we'll hear from Allison McLaughlin. Allison is the Marketing Manager at Owlkids Books in Toronto, Canada, where she works with a wonderful team to spread the word about great books. 2021 marks her 10th year working in children's publishing. She sincerely believes in social emotional learning, that it's very important. And on the side, she teaches yoga. Welcome, Allison. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Julia, and hello, everyone. I'm here from Owlkids Books. So we are an independent publisher of books for ages 0 to 14, from board books, picture books, to nonfiction, chapter books, junior graphic novels. We are distributed in the United States by Publishers Group West, and I'm very happy to be here today to show you some great books that support social emotional learning. So I'm going to get started with some books that are new this spring. First up is THAO. We are really excited about this one. It's a new picture book from THAO Lam, whose work has earned a lot of critical acclaim. So inspired by her own experiences, this is a story about growing up with a name that's not familiar to the kids around you, as THAO did. This is a very relatable experience for so many people. Maybe some of you or your patrons or your students can relate. And since we're publishing this book and I'm paying more attention to the topic, I'm noticing it being talked about a lot lately in media and social media. So THAO's previous books have been mostly wordless. This book does have text. It plays with typography and it uses a mix of collage and childhood photos of THAO. The story follows a young girl named THAO who tries on a different name to fit in after nobody can pronounce hers right. She decides to go by something easy, Jennifer, and it feels better until she opens her lunchbox one day to find the Vietnamese spring rolls that THAO adores. It feels a lot more comfortable and enjoyable to be herself. So the story is honest, it's told with humor, and it's so important as we think about things like diversity and empathy and inclusion. You may know THAO as the author-illustrator of The Paper Boat, which earned many accolades in 2020. It's a really beautiful wordless story about a refugee journey, also inspired by her family's own experiences. So check that one out if you missed it. And THAO has several other acclaimed librarian favorites as well, all of which relate to this theme in their own ways. So My Cat Looks Like My Dad celebrates all different kinds of families. Wallpaper is about coming out of your shell, finding the courage to make new friends. And Skunk on a String tackles problem solving in a whimsical way. So moving ahead now to Frogness. This is a new picture book about a child and a dog who go out on a muddy, mucky frog hunt one summer evening in the marsh. And while they're there, they experience the joy of mindfulness. So despite their very best efforts, they never do catch any frogs, but they do find a moment of peaceful pause while they wait to soak in their surroundings. The book really celebrates the sights and the sounds and the sensations of nature, and how pausing to take it all in can sometimes be the reward, even if you don't catch exactly what you were looking for. So it's a great choice for summer reading, and especially now at a time where kids are always around their screens and devices, it's a really lovely reminder of the joy of a break in nature. Moving on to Tears. We can just click to the next slide. So Tears is a perfect book for social emotional learning, exploring all the different reasons why we cry. So it's new from the author of Prickly Jenny from a few years back, which is a real gem of a book if you missed that one, about moving through a bad mood. As the New York Times said, this wonderful little book gently suggests that maybe all a kid like Jenny needs from the people around her is a kind of warm, quiet presence. So back to Tears. This book shows the many different kinds of tears: loud ones, quiet ones, angry ones, sad ones. Even grown-ups and crocodiles cry. It's great for normalizing the healthy expression of emotions, and great as a read aloud too. We can just click to the next slide and then one more. Perfect. Moving to the next book, we have Barnaby. This is the first of 3 new books I'll show you, all relating to themes of growth and change. So these next few would be really good picks for kids who are going through the loss of something familiar, which I think we're all doing, facing fears, or finding openness to new experience. So Barnaby is a book about a very proud pet budgie who escapes out of envy after his beloved owner adopts a new bird. After his tantrums don't work, Barnaby flies away and lives among a pack of ordinary sparrows for a while, learning from them as he gets lost far from home. And eventually, after a search, he does find home again with acceptance. So this would be great for kids who may have a new sibling at home, or who are dealing with envy and adjusting to new situations. Moving to the next book, we have, if we can go to the next slide. Our next book is Carmen and the House That Gaudi Built. So this is a new picture book from the author of What Happens Next in the bottom corner there, which is also an excellent choice on this theme. That's a compassionate look at the experience of bullying from both perspectives. So the new book here is based on the young girl Carmen Batlló and the famous architect Antoni Gaudi, who built her family's new home in the city. So we see Carmen's resilience in the face of change, finding beauty in Gaudi's designs, inspired by the natural environment she loves. The art here, I think, is especially incredible. And I think this could be a really good book to help kids who are feeling resistant find a way to be open to change and new surroundings. Moving to the next one. So our next book, if we can go to the next slide. This House is Home is new from the author of When Molly Drew Dogs, which is on the screen there. That's a great one to check out if you missed it, about one girl whose anxiety shows up in her mind as a pack of stray dogs, and she draws them as a way to cope. So the new book, This House is Home, tells the story of a bunny and her family's complete resistance to change when developers want to bulldoze their home. And despite her family being set in their ways, she shows a growth mindset and imagines a really creative new alternative that lets them keep what's important. We can just go to the next slide. And one more. Yeah, very creative alternative. And moving to the next book, I'm going to shift the tone now to show you some funny books that tackle these topics with humor. So The Story Life of Timothy Schmo is a new picture book written in the form of letters of apology from one kid who's lovably impulsive to various people he has wronged. So, for example, he doesn't know you're not supposed to come right out and say the sweater Aunt Gladys knit him is terribly ugly. Timothy accidentally leaves a trail of disasters everywhere he goes, and his antics are hilarious. And the book highlights empathy and forgiveness in the face of our mistakes. You'll see his greatest mistake on the next slide. We can go to the next one. Oh, can we just go back for 1 second? Yeah, that's his greatest mistake right there. Okay, moving ahead into some best bets from the backlist. If we can just move forward. So the first backlist book I'm going to tell you about, if we can just advance the slides, is Ira Crumb Feels the Feelings. This one is perennially popular, about a boy who gets into a fight with his friend and suddenly he has all these feelings he has to deal with. So this is a little 2-book series with Ira Crumb makes a pretty good friend. Ira's tummy hurts, his chin is wibbling, and his eyes are leaking. What's happening? The book is very funny as it explores how feelings can be confusing and can take time to process. It's designed in a comic style with speech bubbles, plenty of laughs, and we also have a great poster available for this one on different feelings, which is free for download online. Next book, our next one is Raj's Rule for the Bathroom at School. If we can go to the next slide. Just published in the fall, a really sweet, funny story about a kid who's afraid of using the bathroom at school. So Raj gets by with strict rules, no laughing, no drinking juice, but it's really hard for him to enjoy his day. Until one day, a sneeze forces him to face his fears. So this tackles a very commonly felt anxiety, and the book was actually just featured on a TV segment here in Toronto about best books for social emotional learning. Moving to the next book, I'll show you Cone Cat. This is a really hilarious story about a cat who makes the best of a bad situation. So of course, these themes of creative problem solving, resilience, adapting to challenges, these are especially relevant right now. So Jeremy the cat comes back from the vet with a cone, and after a short time feeling clumsy and ashamed, he starts to see it as a superpower once he realizes everything it can do for him. In one great moment, he can even disguise himself as a bowl, there he is, to receive a scoop of ice cream at a birthday party. Many things are even better than before, and once the cone is removed, he starts to miss it. Our next book is Sloth at the Zoo. This published a few years ago. It continues to be one of our most popular books. It's about a laid-back sloth who is supposed to be sent to the very relaxed zoo, but is mistakenly delivered to the Zoom, which is a much more fast-paced place. At the Zoom, all of the animals move so fast that they don't have time to be friends or to notice anything about their surroundings. No one has any time to hang. But Sloth is able to gently show some of the benefits of slowing down, taking a break, or as one reviewer aptly said, that positive alternatives to hurtling mindlessly through life do exist. Our next book is Little Doctor and the Fearless Beast, very well received with a starred review from Booklist. So Little Doctor is known for her ability to treat and heal even the biggest, scariest crocodiles. One day, she meets the meanest creature yet, and she has to use confidence, creativity, and a lot of empathy to heal this creature. I love how this book shows even little kids can be fearless, and even big, mean creatures sometimes need help. Moving to Golden Threads. This is another popular backlist title, just published in March 2020. We actually just reprinted it, which is pretty significant given the year we've all had. The theme relates to finding joy and even beauty in things that don't look the way we expected them to. So the book uses, if we can go to the next one, the Japanese concept of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with golden glue to highlight its cracks. And it uses that to inspire a story about a toy that is lost and found. Moving now to the next book, You Are Never Alone. This has had some really strong interest in the current pandemic, all about the ways that nature surrounds and supports us in incredible ways, from the pull of gravity right down to things like the microorganisms that build our immune systems. Next slide. It's all grounded in scientific research, and it contains really exquisite diorama art. Great for STEAM learning, great antidote to loneliness and isolation. Moving to the next one. Alas, Goodbye. Another tough but real topic we're seeing, death and dying. This is by the same author-illustrator team as the book I just showed, handles the different ways that animals mourn and grieve. Next slide. It's beautiful, moving, and could be helpful for kids processing the loss of loved ones. We also have some great educators materials for these ones available online, so check those out as well. Finally, I'm going to give you a really quick sneak peek at one book coming for fall 2021, also on the theme of loss. The Sour Cherry Tree. This is a picture book written by Nassim Harab, who also authored the Crumb series I showed earlier, and the book Weekend Dad, which you may know as well. This has a different tone about a girl who walks through her grandfather's house after his death, noticing special objects. It's illustrated by Nahid Kazemi, who also illustrated The Old Woman, you may know that book, and it contains specific elements of Iranian culture representing both creators' backgrounds. Sour Cherry Tree will be one of our lead titles for fall, so keep an eye out for it. And that is all I have for you today. If you would like any further info, catalogs, maybe the resources I mentioned, please email us and we'll be sure to get you what you need. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Allison. Next, we'll hear from Nicole Duguay. Nicole is the digital marketer and sales coordinator for Lorimer Children Teens. After spending some time in the world of scientific publishing, Nicole is now focused on getting books into the hands of readers who want to see their own lives reflected on the page. She is a strong advocate for LGBTQ+ voices and diverse intersectional representation in media. Nicole lives in Toronto. Take it away, Nicole.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Julia. I'm just going to dive right in here. Lorimer has been publishing fiction and nonfiction since 1975. Our Children and Teens imprint specifically focuses on diverse books for middle grade and young adult. The majority of our books are high-low to engage reluctant readers. Some are in series and some are standalone. And we're proud to have many own voices authors writing about their experiences from a first-hand point of view. Now, to get into our books, first up, we have two different series for early readers. The books are printed in dyslexia-friendly fonts with fun typography and artwork. The different books in each series deal with different topics that kids will encounter in their everyday lives. We're proud that these will resonate with kids with issues like ADHD or anxiety who don't usually see characters their own age dealing with the same types of things. Our first dyslexia-friendly series is called The Secret Games of Maximus Todd. Max Todd is a young kid with ADHD. The various titles in this series take readers through common scenarios kids will be familiar with, like going to the doctor and playing soccer, where Max needs to overcome his wiggles and jitters and super fidgets to focus on the task at hand. Our second dyslexia-friendly series is called Be Brave, Morgan. Morgan is a young kid with anxiety. The series presents readers with situations where Morgan has to overcome his fears, like riding new rides at the fall fair or standing up to bullies teasing a classmate. This shows kids that although something may be unknown, they can be brave enough to face it, just like Morgan. Next up, we have books from 3 of our middle grade series. The Illustrated Humor series features relatable and lovable characters teaching lessons about life skills, friendship, bullying, self-esteem, and achieving goals. In The Fake Chicken Kung Fu Fighting Blues, 12-year-old video buff Anthony is devastated when his family moves from Chinatown to a remote northern community. There are no other Asian families around, and the move is very hard on his grandmother, Popo, who doesn't speak English and puts a fake chicken over the front door for luck. As Anthony discovers the joys of small-town life, his new friends get an introduction to his Chinese culture, and even Popo begins to feel at home. In Mermaid Warrior Squad, Shy Dylan arrives at a summer arts camp and immediately bonds with outgoing Coral over the aquatic theme of the camp and a love of comic books. When Coral's in-your-face behavior draws the attention of the camp mean girls and a boy who's determined to prank the camp's final show, Dylan has a decision to make. Should she stay behind the scenes, or should she channel her inner mermaid warrior to save Coral and the show? Our Deal With It series focuses on issues kids face every day by presenting the problem from everyone's perspective: perpetrator, target, and bystander. Today's kids have lived their whole lives in a world where the topic of religious belief has become a serious social issue. The media and social media are full of stereotypes and misinformation about Islam in particular, and the atmosphere of fear and distrust has entered the everyday life of kids. Islamophobia provides information, relatable situations, and opportunities for kids to explore both the assumption of their own biases and those of others. Consent offers information to help kids think critically about what consent is, what it looks like and sounds like when it's given or not given, and how it's applicable to situations other than those involving sex, to put consent into a context that kids can understand, and use to navigate issues of personal rights and emotional safety. The most common mental health problem facing children today is anxiety. This book helps all kids understand anxiety better and offers practical ideas for coping. It offers insight to everyone, to the child experiencing anxiety, to someone who doubts the problem is real, and to a young person who witnesses another's problem. Everyone has suffered from bullying at some time in their lives, and this book explains how to identify it and to gain the skills to deal with it. Gossip looks at the damage gossip can cause to both its object and its perpetrators, ways to cope when a rumor is making the rounds, and what young people can do when the urge to participate in gossip feels irresistible. Homophobia helps kids determine what is and what isn't homophobia, and what they can do to make their schools, homes, and communities more safe and inclusive for everyone. Using realistic examples and sensitive language, Racism examines the sources of racial and cultural conflicts. It helps young people recognize and overcome barriers to peace, understanding, and acceptance. Transphobia offers information to help kids better understand gender identity and determine what they can do to identify and counter transphobia in their schools, homes, and communities. Considered from the viewpoint of gender challengers, gender enforcers, and witnesses, transphobic behavior is identified, examined, and put into a context kids can use to understand and accept themselves and others for whatever gender they are, even if that's no gender at all. Sports stories are action-driven sports novels featuring characters with diverse racial, physical, mental, and economic backgrounds, playing a wide variety of sports. For today, we've chosen a few titles from the series which focus on characters dealing with depression, body image, and death. In The Comeback, Chris is depressed, full of self-blame and negative thoughts, and quits his hockey team. But at his doctor's suggestion, he starts playing a new sport, soccer. In Long Bomb, 14-year-old Ed used to play football in the park with his dad and dream of being a great receiver. He secretly wishes he could play for his high school football team, but he worries that he's too tall, too skinny, and too insecure, the exact opposite of the star quarterback. In Dress to Play, 14-year-old Jordan lives for basketball, but the other players on her team want their new uniforms to be short, tight, and sexy, rather than the functional athletic wear Jordan wants. The boys' basketball team call her Jordan the Jock, hinting that she's less of a girl for being strong and athletic. In Empty Net, 14-year-old Maddie is more unhappy than ever in her new town. Things begin to turn around when she discovers she's made the town's only hockey team, but since they already have a skilled goalie in Connor Spencer, Maddie wonders if she'll ever get to play. When Connor dies in a car accident, Maddie is overwhelmed with sadness and guilt for having thought that if only Connor were hurt, she would get to play. Lastly, we have books from 3 of our young adult series. Record books help reluctant readers understand social issues like racism and conflict by telling the true stories of sports heroes. It wasn't until 2003 that Jordan Tutu became the first Inuk to play in an NHL game. Although hockey is a rough sport to begin with, Jordan is known for having to fight his way through. This new, updated biography explores the struggles and accomplishments of the most recognized role model for young Aboriginal and Inuit people today. Born in Canada to parents who emigrated from the Caribbean, PK Subban is a remarkable athlete and role model. PK's story has evolved into an incredible family story of 3 first-generation born in Canada brothers who, starting with PK, were all drafted into the NHL. Side Streets are edgy, fast-paced novels that combine real-world themes and believable characters. The series covers many different issues like crime, risk-taking, substance abuse, mental health, and more. In Cold Grab, 16-year-old Angelo has moved to Toronto from the Philippines to join his mother, who's been living and working in Canada for most of Angelo's life. Adjusting to a new country isn't easy for him, and he meets Marcus at the Filipino Community Center and Felix and Darius at school. But the boys lure Angelo into running petty thefts as a way of proving his friendship. In On the Run, 17-year-old Ryan is only out of juvie for a few hours before things start to sour. His abusive alcoholic father kicks him out of the house, and Ryan witnesses 2 of his old partners in crime doing a break and enter. With nowhere to go and scared that he'll be picked up for the crime, Ryan decides to breach his probation and flee to Ontario to find a former foster family, the only people who've ever truly cared about him. Next up, we have Gang Girl. When Sasha moves from Russia with her mother, she's eager to start a new life. At her new school, she joins a girls' volunteer group, but quickly learns that the group is a front for a girl gang. Their leader is eager to exploit Sasha's computer skills for a more lucrative level of crime, stealing identities and blackmailing men online. In Ride or Die, 15-year-old Kanika falls for Danny, an older guy she's always had a crush on, and she becomes his ride or die chick. Soon after establishing that she'll do anything for him, Danny sells her into the sex trade. Kanika is drugged and taken to Toronto, where she finds her friend has also been a victim of the sex trafficking plot. On a slightly happier note, Real Love is a collection of high-low YA novels that focus on LGBTQ+ teen relationships. The books feature diverse characters in contemporary settings as they experience love, romance, dating and sex, body image, and more. In Confessions of a Teenage Drag King, 17-year-old Lauren tries to navigate the tricky waters of teen romance while keeping up their two personas, Ren, a drag king, and Lori, a typical student, and come to terms with their feelings for Clover and their own identity as an LGBTQ+ teen. In Love IRL, Alex, a trans Latino teenager, struggles to reconcile his feelings with a real-life crush on a boy in his classroom from the relationship he has with a boy he knows online, only to find out that the two boys were the same all along. In Ace of Hearts, Alvin finds it uncomfortable to think and talk about sex. He knows he isn't ready and may never be. The closer Alvin gets to being physical with someone, the more he's uncertain that this is for him and begins to wonder if he's asexual. In We Three, Jassy quickly makes two new friends at summer camp, Ams and Sydney, and realizes she's got romantic feelings for both of them. It seems like Jassy may have missed her chance at both love and friendship, since Ams and Sid seem to have only eyes for each other, until Ams and Sid tell Jassy they want to be with her too. So that's a pretty good look at what we've got going on for kids' titles that reflect today's topic of social emotional learning. I also want to let you know that Lorimer provides free teaching guides for many of our series that include group and independent activities, which could be useful for anyone struggling to find free resources to help support students at home right now. Those can be downloaded at lorimer.ca/teachers. Our books are available from all major retailers and your preferred wholesaler, or direct from our American distributor, Learner, at lernerbooks.com. Keep an eye out for us on social media as @LorimerKids. And if you're interested in our adult titles, you can find our tweets and posts as @LorimerBooks. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Up next is Stacey Ashton. Stacey is the publisher at Fabled Films Press, which was founded in 2015 to connect generations of readers together through literature. In 2019, Stacey led a panel at ALA Annual and the ABA Children's Institute on how to use virtual author visits to expand children's programming at public libraries, schools, and bookstores, not knowing how essential these types of presentations would become over the last year. During the pandemic, she has also attended incredible Zoom and Twitch theatrical productions and eaten some of the best desserts with her husband in New York City. Welcome, Stacey. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I'm logging in from snowy New York, and depending on where you guys are, you're probably happy to be inside watching a webinar. I know I'm happy to be here with you. I'm the publisher at Fabled Films Press, and I'm really pleased to talk to you about the Nocturnal's Social Emotional Learning book program. During the presentation, I'm going to review our SEL resource guide and the books that accompany it, as well as share with you a video from author Tracy Hecht, who has developed a new virtual SEL program. For librarians who haven't yet met the three members of the Nocturnals, I thought I would tell you about the characters that make up their world and are featured on the lower left-hand corner of the slide. First, we have Tobin, the sweet, shy pangolin, who is an endangered species that has scales like an armadillo and a tongue that is 16 inches long. Next, we have Bismarck, a loud-mouthed, pint-sized sugar glider, who is a bit of a troublemaker. Finally, we have Dawn the fox, the leader of the brigade and the problem solver of the group. Author Tracy Hecht won an Indie Next Award for her first middle grade book in the Nocturnal series, The Mysterious Abductions. A sought-after speaker, she has given over 150 read-aloud writing workshops at schools, libraries, and bookstores. Before the pandemic, she sat on a how to create a virtual author visit panel at the ABA's Children Institute and spoke on rollicking read-alouds at AASL. The Grow and Read book program was developed under the supervision of reading specialists to hone kids' reading skills while emphasizing the delight of storytelling that include SEL themes. The series was also written to encourage shared reading and reading aloud. We now have 8 books in the program. The books are at all 3 levels, so your patrons will be able to grow their reading skills over time. Each book is reviewed by Lexile and Fountas and Pinnell. The books are available in hardcover, paperback, and recently, ebook. In the books, the Nocturnals go on nighttime adventures that tackle SEL using real-life social situations, which include being a good friend, honesty, sharing feelings, and confronting bullying and accepting differences in others. For the series, we have 3 established programs that work with our books: our Common Core Language Arts Guide, Read Aloud Storytime Kit, and Read Aloud videos that feature Tracy Hecht. These activities include sight word games, coloring pages, an animal mask craft, and more. We believe the activities help strengthen emerging readers' understanding of the books, spark creativity, and enable the discussion of emotional reactions to the stories. All of these materials are free and can be found at nocturnalsworld.com. As I mentioned, virtual programming is not new for Fabled Films Press or Tracy Hecht, as she has run our programs as virtual visits and in person. And since we all are just not sure how we'll be supporting kids over the next year, we think it's good for you to know that you can use our programs in both ways. Last year, Tracy conducted 2 all-school read workshops with hundreds of kids through Read to Them. She led a game of Nocturnal's virtual animal bingo at a children's hospital and hosted public library-sponsored Zoom events with parents and kids that are homeschooling and looking for books with author programming. We are not charging for these events, as Tracy Hecht believes it's so important for kids to get fun-filled extra activities that can enrich their learning and boost their emotional well-being. Today on the webinar, we are launching a new virtual program featuring author Tracy Hecht that works in tandem with our SEL guide.
Hi, I'm Tracy Hecht, the author of the Nocturnals book series, and I'm really excited to be sharing with you today about a program I'm doing nationwide in school and public libraries. It's called the Nocturnals SEL Workshop, Learning Courage Through Stories. And in the workshop, we focus on the book, The Slithery Shakedown, where Bismarck and the Nocturnal Brigade face a very bullying snake. The workshop has 3 parts. In the first part, the students and readers and I discuss what it means to have courage and to demonstrate courage. And we talk about ways in which we see it in ourselves and others, whether that's standing up for someone or something you believe in, or trying a new food. These are all ways that we demonstrate courage every day. The second part of the workshop, we read the section in the Slithery Shakedown where the brigade meet the snake, the bullying snake. And we discuss ways in which the characters in the book demonstrate courage, both for themselves and for each other. And then the final part of the workshop is a drawing activity where the readers and students think about ways in which they've demonstrated courage recently, whether that's going to a new school or learning in a new school environment or making a new friend. We all demonstrate courage every day in little and big ways. And the workshop is a great way for kids to think about courage in themselves and in the greater world. Not only through the characters and the story we read, but also in the examples we share with one another. And I would love to bring the program to your school or public library virtually. Also, if you're participating this summer in the Tales and Tales reading program, the Nocturnals is a great fit for that.
So as Brianna gets us back to the presentation and moves to the next slide, the workshops are available in the US and Canada. All you need is a Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, Microsoft Teams, anything that you could do. Tracy's pretty adept at running her program. And now that you've sort of heard about what Tracy does live, let me tell you more about the SEL Guide. It features 3 books from the Nocturnals Grow and Read series: The Tasty Treat, The Slithery Shakedown, and The Chestnut Challenge. Each book is aligned to different levels of reading skills and SEL themes. The guide features 3 phases of instruction to engage students in a comprehensive understanding of a specific SEL theme that appears in each book. The themes in the guide are kindness, courage, and honesty. Our SEL Guide was written by Dr. Dawn Jacobs Martin. She's an assistant clinical professor at the University of Maryland College Park and works through teacher development, instructional design, and research in the areas of response to intervention, social support, and parent involvement. Jennifer McCarthan, who's a doctoral student at University of Maryland, helped with the project using her teaching experience supporting SEL at 2 charter schools in DC. In the first section of the guide, there is a pre-reading and listening activity. Using this section, a librarian can define the SEL theme and have a collaborative discussion about the concept and the book, and use the provided activities such as a word splash, graphic organizer, and board activity that works virtually to discuss the theme, whether it's kindness, courage, or honesty. In the second section, a librarian can read the book aloud or play a video of author Tracy Hecht reading the book from our website. This reading can be done in either one sitting or across several days. Through the activities, the students will explore the adventures, feelings, and outcomes of characters within the story to learn more about the SEL theme. The third section extends the learning, highlights hands-on crafts, community engagement experiences, and suggestions for home connections. The activity extensions provide a great opportunity for students to demonstrate understanding of the target SEL theme through creativity. In addition, involving community partners and families helps students make real-world connections to the importance of the social emotional outcomes. The first book in the SEL Guide explores kindness. This book, The Tasty Treat, is a level 1 title. In the book, the Nocturnals, Dawn, Tobin, and Bismarck, introduce their nighttime world to young readers. The story is simple. Dawn wakes up and goes looking for her friends, Tobin and Bismarck, to share a tasty treat, a pomelo. The other SEL themes of the book are problem solving and sharing. As you heard from author Tracy Hecht's video, the second book in the SEL Guide, which explores courage, is The Slithery Shakedown. In the level 2 book, the Nocturnals meet a frightful bully snake. Bismarck is scared, and with the help of Tobin and Dawn, gain the courage to stand up to the snake together and scare him away. In these images, we can see why SLJ said beginning readers will enjoy this tale and will cheer on the threesome who defeat a bully by using their words. As mentioned in the video, author Tracy Hecht can visit your library virtually and discuss the SEL theme of courage with your readers. The third book in the SEL Guide explores honesty. In the level 3 book, The Chestnut Challenge, the Nocturnal Brigade is playing a game of checkers when Chandler, a chinchilla, challenges Tobin for the title of Chestnut Champion. During the game, they discover he is cheating and discuss with him in the story. I love the dialogue and illustrations in this section of the book. This shows the conversation between Chandler and Tobin where he confesses he has cheated, and Tobin the pangolin says, "No one wins every time, but the more you practice, the better you'll play." In addition to the 3 books featured in the SEL Guide, we have 2 other standalone SEL activities: the kindness game with the peculiar possum, which can be used for bullying prevention, and a listening teamwork activity with the kooky kinkajou, which can be used to develop the SEL skills of relationship building, teamwork, and social awareness. Both of these guides can be found for free on nocturnalsworld.com. During the pandemic, children who aren't sure how to express themselves are having a particularly tough time. That said, I want to do a special call out for The Weeping Wombat, which published at the end of last year. In the book, the Nocturnals discover Walter, the wombat, weeping under a willow tree. He tells them that the other wombats call him a wimp because he weeps. The Nocturnals tell Walter that weeping is just another way of expressing how we feel, and that like laughter, weeping can feel good. In this next set of illustrations, the idea of laughing, sniffling, and weeping are called out as feelings that are valid for any child. We believe the book can be used individually by parents, with their children, or at a library story time to discuss a range of feelings. If you are looking for activities to accompany our SEL Guide, or use as a standalone resource, this book has over 150 activities and is perfect for library programming ideas. We have word games, puzzles and mazes, coloring and drawing games, and SEL themes are embedded into most of the activities. The Nocturnals, as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, also have a middle grade book program, which connects to social emotional learning components. The books have been used in bullying prevention programs across the country and promote friendship and problem solving. All the books are available as hardcover, paperback, and ebook, and the first 2 books have AR quizzes if that's appropriate for your area. Plus, they're perfect for summer reading and this summer's theme of Tales and Tales. To support the Tales and Tales summer reading theme, we have a new activity kit. In addition, we have free turnkey Common Core language arts guides that were developed by Pat Scales, a retired school librarian and writer for SLJ and Book Links, as well as Next Generation Science guides, which were developed by Dr. Erica Colon, a board certified teacher and curriculum and instruction specialist. All of our free materials can be found on our website, nocturnalsworld.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to request e-galleys on the titles that I presented, or get more information on Tracy Heck's new Social Emotional Learning author program, or the Social Emotional Learning Guide, visit our website, nocturnalsworld.com, or look for the Fabled Films Press catalog on Edelweiss. We are distributed by Consortium Book Group, who's a division of Ingram, and are available at all wholesalers. And we really think that our program can help your children during this difficult time of the pandemic and beyond. Before I close, I want to share with the librarian community that Fabled Films Press hopes you stay safe and healthy. We also want to let you know that we're very, very grateful for your efforts in helping families during this difficult time. Give yourselves a hug and a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Our final panelist today will be Lizette Serrano. Lizette is the VP of Educational Marketing at Scholastic. For over 20 years, she's been living her dream job, championing authors and contributing to the growth of the Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Goosebumps, and the Babysitter's Club series. She is also the co-founder of the Power of Story initiative, which aims to create a hub of resources to direct educators, booksellers, and caregivers on how to build an equitable bookshelf. She currently serves as a board member for the ALAN, the Assembly on Literature for Adolescents of NCTE, USBBY, the United States Board on Books for Young People, and Every Child a Reader, a nonprofit dedicated to inspiring a lifelong love of reading in children and teens across America. Take it away, Lizette.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Lizette from Scholastic, where we're celebrating our 100th birthday. And definitely all you teachers and educators out there play a big part of that, so thank you. I'm excited to join my colleagues and talk about a few books on this topic. The first is Ross Burek's first picture book, The Very Impatient Caterpillar, which was praised as a hilarious tongue-in-cheek exploration of metamorphosis, while at the same time provided a lesson in the value of being patient. Ross visited tons of schools last year, and the students always asked him what happens next to butterfly. Thus, the companion was born, the little butterfly that could. The caterpillar is back and is now discouraged about migrating 200 miles. Can you imagine? He meets a friendly whale who encourages him to keep trying. The butterfly perseveres and makes it just in time to be dormant for winter. Persistence and practice can be hard for kids. This is perfect for lessons about character traits, voice, and even managing anxiety. Excellent for reading out loud, introducing the power of yet, because if at first you don't succeed, fly again. Our next book, this is a funny and fresh take on the timeless favorite, Chicken Little by Sam Wedelick. This came out last year and explored themes relating to the importance of keeping calm, checking facts, the dangers of spreading rumors, and thinking for oneself. And with her red cowboy boots, the chicken does it all in style. Sam's next book is the pitch perfect follow-up, Chicken Little and a Little Big Bad Wolf. She goes toe-to-toe with literature's most famous villain in this brilliant comedy spun mixed with sly humor. Whatelic anchors storytelling with substance, touching lightly on issues such as fake news, and helps eliminate the perils of judging characters without knowing them. Another great read aloud with humor, and we'll have, I think, kids and adults begging for repeated reading. Our next book, You Are Enough. This was inspired by model, actress, and Down syndrome advocate, Sophia Sanchez. You Are Enough reminds readers that we all belong and being different is what makes you you. It's beautifully illustrated with a full cast of characters representing a variety of backgrounds, experiences, and abilities. This book again reminds us how important it is to embrace our differences, to be confident, and to be proud of who we are. Our next book, I love this character so much. Look how cute he is, Owly. This is Owly. This is a graphic novel series and a great introduction to introduce graphic novels to younger readers. Through a unique blend of words and symbols, Owly's tales illustrates the power of optimism. Equally noteworthy are the expressive drawings and universal lessons of persistence, kindness, and loyalty. The third graphic novel, Flying Lessons, the charming story about Owly and his friend Wormy overcoming their fears and making a new friend. Again, explores understanding and acceptance, where Owly learns that everyone is special and it's okay to be different. Our next book, how many of you love cheering on a character breaking all stereotypes and taking on something that the world said they couldn't do? That is a lovable giraffe, Gerald, featured in Giraffes Can't Dance, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary. For international bestselling creators comes a delightful news story about an elephant looking for a place where he belongs and free to be elephant me. And here are the creators to tell you more about the book.
Hi, I'm Giles Andre, and I'm the author of Free to Be Elephant Me.
Hello, and I'm Guy Parker-Rees, and I'm the illustrator.
So this is the story of little Num Num, who has to earn his special elephant name. But Num Num is worried that there's actually nothing special about him at all, until he comes to realize that the greatest thing you can be really is simply yourself. So whereas our book Giraffes Can't Dance is more about finding your own talent, Free to Be Elephant Me is more about kindness.
Now, I'm one of those people that have always been totally obsessed with elephants, ever since I was very little. In fact, when I was very small, I used to want to be an elephant. But my mum said that might be a bit difficult, so I ended up making books about them instead. And here I have one of the first picture books I ever made about an elephant. So imagine my surprise and my delight at getting this lovely story sent to me that Giles had written. I always love illustrating Giles's stories because he's so good at getting a big range of feelings into them. And I think we could do with as many books as possible about kindness at the moment.
So we really hope you enjoy Free to Be Elephant Me.
They're so great. So just the next slide from this book, there's a spoiler alert or Easter egg I'm sharing. Can you spot him? There's Gerald, our giraffe, making a fun cameo. So that's always fun to show to readers. Our next book, it's always a special occasion, I think, when we get the opportunity to introduce an incredible new talent to the picture book world. And that moment right now is for artist Gracie Zhang and Lala's Words. Lala's Words. Lala is high-spirited. She's curious, sweet, and caring. With a pot of water, she travels to a concrete fenced area in her neighborhood, set in Brooklyn, to water the plants every day, but it's her kind words that make them sway and nod. Lala Words is about the transformative power of imagination, kindness, and being loved for who you are. Another note about this book, I love it. It's really also about a mother-daughter relationship. And really having patience. I saw myself mirrored as a mom in this book, having patience with your children or caregivers. And again, allowing them to be who they are. So it's a really beautiful, special book. Our next book, this is from our backlist list. And, as we talking about, as we know in this time, we're all trying to be very brave in different ways. I think during this pandemic, books have reminded us of the incredible power they have to heal, to comfort, and most of all, to connect. And if I could recommend one book to give to people during this time, it is this book, Maybe Tomorrow. When Elbow the hippo, who continually drags a large black block behind her, she meets Norris in the park, the dancing green crocodile, loses no time making friends. Sensing something sad in the block, he wonders whether what's inside it needs to come out. The block represents a way for children to understand and conceptualize grief or depression in their own lives or other lives. It also could be taught for anyone experiencing loss of a loved one or a pet, the transition to a new home, or managing the hardship being apart from friends and family during a pandemic. I also love at the heart of this book, it's really about how to be a good friend, that just to listen and just be there for each other. So it's a beautiful book. I hope you would check out if you haven't heard about it already. Just lastly, I want to touch upon two resources, talking about the power. One is the power of story. This is really a way for us to direct book givers of any kind to diverse books. We have a dedicated website, as you can see above. We have a new update coming February 17th. So keep refreshing that website, and you'll see the new update, which will include titles through summer 2021. Right now, the catalog includes all of our wonderful backlists and fall 2020. So it's a great resource and includes author series, the catalog, and other great assets to come. Another thing we currently launch on Scholastic is the Scholastic Bookshelf. This is a homepage which addresses a comprehensive and diverse range of topics that are currently in the mind of parents and teachers today. It features 68 topics, as noted. It covers evergreen subjects like anxiety, bullying, immigration. What's great, it includes chapter excerpts for a number of books. It includes a number of great articles from Scholastic magazines on these topics. And they're just great conversation starters for parents, with teachers and kids. So definitely recommend you checking this out if that's what you need. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Lizette, and another huge thank you to all of today's wonderful panelists. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the Booklist Reader, where Booklist contributors post about all things books and library land. Not yet a subscriber? Pair the page-by-page reading experience of print with the convenience of online access at booklistonline.com and lock in print, online, digital, and archive access by taking advantage of this special webinar offer to get Booklist for only $75. While you're perusing Booklist online, be sure to check out Booklinks, a quarterly supplement to Booklist perfect for educators and school librarians. It is now freely available to all. To start reading, type booklinks.booklistonline.com into your web browser. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more thank you to our sponsors, Owlkids, Lorimer Children Teens, Fabled Films Press, and Scholastic. This concludes today's webinar.